Man, you need to get comfortable documenting the journey. I feel like I'm still, well, compared to my ambitions and where I perceive myself being in the future and the value I can provide to people, I feel like I am very early in my journey. But even just starting this year, not drinking and being consistent with the gym and cutting out, you know, adult entertainment videos, whatever, I feel like there were certain steps that when you're just starting are crucial, but you can kind of overlook them once you've been on a journey for long enough. So it's been, nearly a year. I think it's probably been, I stopped counting now, maybe 270, 280 days since I stopped drinking. And people talk about why you stop drinking. I've got a video on that. But people often look for the benefits because sometimes I think the positive benefits of stopping an action that's causing you negative patterns is beneficial to hear. And it's crazy because I feel like I've almost got to the point where because my baseline is raised in terms of, not having certain levels of anxiety or having elevated energy. It's like you almost forget what it feels like to do that. And it's not to say like I want to drink so then I can feel that, but it almost feels as if I were to drink and then make a video, I'll be able to explain better how I'm feeling now because you can elevate yourself to a point where you don't even realize that your new baseline is so normal. Like humans, we adjust to things so quickly. I always talk about our ability to adapt. We adjust so quickly. And I just feel like if I can implore someone to do something else, is document your journey. Because even in the gym, I've not been at the gym for nearly a year. And because I've just been consistent, the level of where I'm at now, if you were to see what I looked like before, you almost wouldn't believe it. Or if I just start now and I'm putting out fitness content, you look at it and you're like, you assume that, this person's always been fit. This person's always been someone who doesn't drink. Someone's always someone who's been confident on camera. And it's like, no, this has to develop over time. And this is part of the process of why I want to create this content now so that I can show you, or there'll be an archive where you can look back and reflect and be like, wow, okay, he really did come from this. He really did come from this level, and just consistent progress actually gets you to a certain point, because I've realized most people just don't actually try. And the reason most people don't actually try is because they don't necessarily have high esteem for themselves. And it's hard to have high esteem for yourself when you don't stick to your word and you consistently are repeating and engaging in habits that are bad for you. I was the same. The reason I can speak like this is because I was probably worse than a lot of people in certain areas. I could have been worse than you with my physique, worse than you with my relationship with alcohol, my relationship with partying, my relationship with, pornography and doing certain things, relationships with, on so many levels, sleep, discipline, my ability to push myself out of my comfort zone. You can only speak from a position of being there. Or should I say, you people can speak from a position of not being there, but I feel like it just doesn't resonate at the same level. They cannot speak unedited like this. They cannot speak from their core and really care. You can only really care when you know how much something really affected you. When something significantly affects you and you feel like you can potentially help other people, or at least you found the answer for yourself, you want to tell everyone. And I'm at that point now. I want to tell everyone because I know how beneficial certain practices were for me. So I feel like this is just a message to implore people, even if you're starting your journey early, just begin documenting it. You don't even have to post it, but just document for yourself, because it's going to get to a time, and I'm not even there yet. I'm barely there. We're not even like a year in, but it's going to get to a time where people question if it's even authentic. And that's the biggest, that's one of the biggest, I'd find that pretty offensive, I'd say, you know, because those trials and tribulations that you go through, I'm starting to understand that that's the most important thing. I want to cherish those. I want to share the difficulties that I've had in those moments with you. Times where you're not times where I'm looking in the mirror and I'm not happy with the person that's looking back at me. Looking in the mirror thinking, damn, I just wish I could stop doing this. I wish I could stop. And then you realize you can, and you realize things get better until you get to the point where that old version of you is unrecognizable. And it's not to say I'm there yet, it's just to say like certain patterns when people talk about benefits of semen retention or not watching pornography or not drinking, gets to the point where your baseline is raised to a level where you don't even think about that, like streaks and counting days and stuff. This is just a new normal now. Like, and it's a new normal because there's a certain level of respect you have for yourself. Like, why would you compromise that? This feels way better. Yeah, the high is not going to feel as high, but the lows are not going to be as low. Your baseline of just consistent living is just at a high level. You feel good, but to the point where it kind of becomes normal. Something that people call about, talk about powers and female attraction and stuff. It gets to the point where this is just your life. And it's not to say I've reached a certain level of enlightenment. And it's not to say that I don't have a long way to go on my journey and I'm still trying to, work on certain things. And I still mess up. I do still mess up. But this message is just like, wow, like I'm coming to terms with embracing the process of trying to be vulnerable and document the journey and encouraging other people to at least capture the start. Because I wish I even took more gym videos from like 6 months ago when my body was looking completely different. Because if you go now to my Instagram or something and you see the way I'm looking in a short space of time, completely natural, let's just add that in. Natural, just hard work, consistency showing up. It's like, damn, people won't even believe that I was that skinny kid, that skinny kid that was almost like a shell of the man that I am now. And yeah, one thing I realized, I just don't know if a lot of people try. I don't know if a lot of people try, and I don't know if a lot of people are honest with themselves. But you build up that level of honesty and respect with yourself and that character and integrity when you're consistent to the internal monologue you have in your head. When you tell yourself you're going to do something and you just do it and you're on autopilot, you're going to build up that small level of trust. And it has to be in all areas. Going to the gym is great, but once you've kind of got a level of consistency with that, the next thing has to be stepping outside of your comfort zone in other areas, or developing how you're going to make more money, or developing your relationships. There's so many areas and facets to work on. It's never ending, and there's always more you can do. And the people at the top prove that because they're consistently striving for more. And we all want similar things. We all want similar things when you boil it down. There are nuances, there are grey areas. Some people are quite different, but to a certain degree, you want to earn a living, you want to have relationships with people. As broad as like from someone being on one side of the spectrum, LGBTQ, to being complete conservative. I mean, you want the ability to make money, you want relationships. Like it's like people will overcomplicate this human reality to express some levels of uniqueness or individualism when really, when you boil it down, lock in. We want the same resources, which means it's extremely competitive because that means that everyone on this whole broad spectrum is kind of chasing the same things, and people just add layers of deception to act as if they're not. You want to make more money. You want to be in good shape. You know that you want to have the best. Like people are only as loyal to their options. You want a better looking girl. You want a better looking guy. This is facts. You want to take care of the people around you. Unless you're completely gone and like nihilistic. But generally, I mean, we've got billions of people that want the same things. So I say that to say, man, like I said, if you're starting on this journey, begin to document with yourself, build up certain levels of trust, understand that it is competitive, but understand that you can have an edge just because not a lot of people are trying in this race. You can really win because you're going to know what it takes. But in order to know what it takes, you have to build up that level of fortitude within yourself. And how you do that is just being consistent. Simple things. Don't overcomplicate it. That thing in your mind that you're being told to do, start with that. And don't start tomorrow. Start now. Don't start next week. Don't start on a new month, on a new year when you feel like it. Start as soon as you get it because the calling's only going to get louder. So you may as well just you may as well get out of the way now. That calling is only going to increase in volume. I'm telling you, consistently, it's going to increase. So if you enact on it now, you're going to be further ahead in your journey and you're going to enjoy the fruits of that labor for longer. But yeah, man, Documenting the journey is going to be an interesting process. Hopefully, you guys can see a level of growth unfold in front of your eyes. This is as I should have been better. Being completely honest, I wish I was more comfortable to start on day one. When I started in January, when I said I'm not going to drink anymore, I think I maybe started not drinking around mid-December, like before Christmas, or a couple of days before Christmas, week before Christmas. I was like, I'm done. Started taking the gym seriously around January. I mean, there was one day I wanted to go to the gym, and I went to a decent gym at the time, and it wasn't open. It was like closed at like 7 o'clock on a 8 o'clock on a Saturday or something ridiculous. I was like, I need to sign up to a cheap 24-hour gym. Forget the sauna, steam room, all of that stuff. Cheap 24-hour gym, and that was where things really started to change for me. Because when I was in that gym, it's kind of just a commercial gym, cheap gym. Um, I started to see people with a certain level of serious, and there's an energy there. I was like, no, I need to. Naturally, I'm competitive. Now, if you go to a health club and you're looking at everyone and they're old and they're seeing you doing whatever you're doing on the bench and they're impressed, that's not the environment you need to be in. That's not conducive to your growth. So, went on a bit of a tangent. I say that to say, start your journey. If I documented then to now, a lot of the gems or a lot of the things that you're encountering, it would be closer to the first step, if that makes sense. Or where, like, if you're just trying to start something and you see someone 3 weeks ahead, is even more relatable. The further you start in terms of documenting things away from the someone else's start point, the less the less attached they're going to be, or the less they're going to be able to understand and relate to you on a certain level. So I'm trying to start now because I've got a long way to go. We've got a lot of things to get accomplished. But if I'd started earlier, some of you would be able to relate even more. Or you wouldn't, you'd think, okay, this guy, has a decent grasp of what he's talking about. But yeah, you'd be able to go back and be, oh shit, he really just started. He didn't know nothing. He didn't know nothing about supplementation, macronutrients, training, even rest, recovery, all of these things. So yeah, final little pointer. If you're thinking about it, even just document for yourself. Make a little hidden folder, and that will help hold you accountable. Let's get it.